The house stood alone. Perched precariously on the edge of the cliff, it seemed to defy gravity as if held up by sheer willpower, a silhouette against the stormy sky. It was a manor once grand, now crumbling. The dark clouds seemed to mirror the house's own decay, casting long shadows that danced eerily on its walls. The wind howled through broken windows like a mournful cry. It carried with it the scent of the sea, salty and cold, as if the ocean itself was lamenting the house's fate. Seagulls circled overhead, their cries echoing the sadness of the place. They were the only visitors, their presence a constant reminder of the isolation and desolation that had befallen the once lively manor. Locals whispered of a curse, a darkness that clung to the house. No one dared to go near. They spoke of strange noises at night, of lights flickering in the windows, and of shadows moving when no one was there.
Catherine stared up at the house. Her inheritance. She had heard the stories, but she needed to see it for herself. The house loomed over her, its presence almost tangible. The letter from her lawyer rustled in her hand. She had never been here. The words on the paper were formal, but the weight of the inheritance felt heavy, almost oppressive. Her family had avoided this place. The house seemed to stare back. Its dark windows were like eyes, watching her every move, as if it had a life of its own, daring her to approach. A shiver ran down her spine. The air was thick with anticipation, and she could almost hear the whispers of the past calling out to her. But she wouldn't be deterred. She was determined to uncover the secrets hidden within those walls. With each step, her resolve grew stronger. She knew that whatever lay inside, she had to face it, for her family's sake and for her own peace of mind.
The old iron gates creaked open like a mouth gasping for breath. Catherine stepped onto the overgrown path. Thorns snagged at her clothes as if trying to hold her back. The air grew colder, heavier. A sense of dread settled over her. She pushed open the heavy oak door. The smell of dampness and decay assaulted her nostrils.
Dust motes danced in the faint light. The only sound was the creaking of the house settling around her. She wandered through darkened hallways, past cobweb-draped portraits of strangers. Their eyes seemed to follow her. Each footstep echoed in the silence, amplifying her unease. The house felt alive, watching her.
The first night was the hardest. The wind howled outside, rattling the windows, scratching at the walls like something trying to get in. Catherine lay in bed, unable to sleep. Every creak of the floorboards sent shivers down her spine. Then she heard it. A whisper, faint and indistinct, coming from the shadows.
She sat up, her heart pounding. "Hello?" she called out. Her voice echoed in the silence. No answer. The whispering continued, growing louder, more insistent. She couldn't make out the words, but there was a sense of urgency, of desperation. She knew then that she wasn't alone.
Days turned into weeks. Catherine spent her time exploring the house, uncovering its secrets. She found a hidden room tucked away at the end of a dusty corridor. Inside, a beautiful music box sat on a table, its silver surface tarnished with age. She picked it up, turning it over in her hands.
As she opened the lid, a haunting melody filled the air, sweet and melancholic. It spoke of love and loss, and a longing for something beyond reach. Catherine felt drawn to the music, compelled to find out more. Next to the music box lay a leather-bound journal, its pages filled with faded ink. Catherine pored over the journal, her brow furrowed in concentration.
It belonged to a woman named Amelia, the former mistress of the house. Amelia wrote of a forbidden love and a dark ritual gone wrong.
She had tried to bind her lover's soul to the house, to keep him with her forever. But something had gone terribly wrong.
The ritual had trapped not only her lover but other innocent souls as well. Now they were all prisoners, bound to the house for eternity.
Amelia had regretted her actions. She wrote of her attempts to undo the ritual, to set the spirits free. But it was too late. She had died before she could find a way. Catherine knew what she had to do. She had to finish what Amelia started, free the trapped spirits.
The journal contained instructions for a counter-ritual, a way to break the curse. It was dangerous. Amelia had warned of a dark presence, something that fed on the trapped souls, something that wouldn't let them go easily.
But Catherine was determined. She gathered the necessary ingredients, herbs, candles, and a silver locket that had belonged to Amelia. She found the ritual chamber in the attic, a circular room with strange symbols etched into the floor. As she began the ritual, a cold wind whipped through the room, extinguishing the candles. Catherine relit the candles, her hands trembling. The air grew thick with tension. She could feel a presence in the room with her, watching her, mocking her.
Leave this place. Turn back while you still can.
Catherine stood her ground, her voice firm. I will not abandon them.
The shadowy figure lunged, tendrils of darkness reaching for her. Catherine fought back, her fear replaced by a surge of anger and determination. She poured all her energy into the ritual, her voice growing stronger. The locket in her hand pulsed with a warm light, pushing back the darkness. The room was flooded with light, an overwhelming brightness that seemed to chase away every shadow. A blinding flash that sent Catherine reeling, her hands instinctively rising to shield her eyes from the intense glare. When she opened her eyes, the shadows were gone, replaced by a serene and almost ethereal glow that filled the room. The air felt lighter, cleaner. It was as if the very atmosphere had been purified, leaving behind a sense of tranquility. She could sense the spirits around her, their presence now gentle and calming, no longer burdened by the weight of their past sorrows. Their presence no longer filled with pain and anger, but with peace, a profound peace that seemed to resonate through the very walls of the house. Gratitude shone in their eyes. Then they were gone, faded into the ether, leaving behind a sense of closure and fulfillment.
Catherine wept, tears of relief and sadness. She had done what she came to do, but the emotional toll was undeniable. She had freed them, but a part of her mourned their passing. The house felt emptier now, devoid of the spirits that had once filled it with their presence. She had felt a connection to them, to Amelia especially. Amelia's story had touched her deeply, and letting go was harder than she had anticipated.
She packed up the music box and the journal, items that held memories of her time in the house. These she would keep, a reminder of her time in the house on the cliff. They were more than just objects, they were symbols of her journey and the spirits she had helped, and the spirits she had set free. Their release was a testament to her courage and compassion, a chapter in her life that she would never forget. Catherine left the next morning. The dawn broke gently, casting a soft glow over the house she had called home for so long. She had spent the night packing her belongings, each item a piece of her past, a fragment of her memories. The house, once filled with shadows and whispers, now stood silent and still. As she walked away, she took one last look at the house. It was a bittersweet moment, filled with a mix of relief and nostalgia. The walls that had once echoed with eerie sounds now seemed to hold a quiet peace. It no longer seemed menacing. The sunlight bathed the house in a golden hue, transforming its once foreboding presence into something almost welcoming. The storm clouds had parted. The dark, ominous skies that had loomed over the house for so long were now clear, revealing a bright, hopeful horizon. And the sun glinted off the windows. Each pane of glass sparkled, reflecting the new beginning that awaited her. Bathing the house in a warm light, it looked almost peaceful. The transformation was remarkable, as if the house itself had been freed from a long-held burden, like a weight had been lifted. Catherine felt a sense of liberation, a lightness in her step that she hadn't felt in years. She knew that the spirits were finally at rest. The restless souls that had haunted the house had found their peace, and in turn, so had she. And that the house on the cliff was no longer a place of darkness and despair. It had become a symbol of resilience and renewal.
She didn't look back. With each step, she felt more certain of her decision, more confident in the path she had chosen. She had faced her fears. The journey had been long and arduous, but it had also been transformative, and found a strength she never knew she possessed. This newfound strength would guide her in the days to come, a beacon of hope and courage. She left the village behind her, The familiar streets and faces faded into the background as she ventured into the unknown, carrying the memory of the house and its secrets in her heart. Each memory was a lesson, each secret a story that had shaped her. The mystery of the Cliffside House was laid to rest. The unanswered questions and lingering doubts had been resolved. But the experience would stay with Catherine forever. It was a chapter of her life that had come to an end, but its impact would endure. A reminder that some houses hold more than just memories. They hold spirits. These spirits, once restless, had found their peace, and so had she. And sometimes, those spirits need our help to find peace. Catherine had given them that, and in doing so, she had found her own.